Chapter 23 is Bad Trouble Coming. All of the chapters are pretty descriptive in what they're going to be about, so yikes. But before we get to that, let's go and go over chapter 22. So Black Elk finally goes to the ghost dance that was near. They were happening all over the place, so this is a big one that he went to in his area. And he's like, oh, it's gonna be great, which is where we left off with chapter 21's end. Chapter 22 says, everyone is gathering and getting ready to ghost dance. Black Elk and his stepfather are weeping for Black Elk's dead siblings. Black Elk is also weeping that he hasn't been able to bring them to the red road yet, and his dream has been wasted thus far. He's so hard on himself. They're all standing around a sacred tree that hasn't bloomed yet, and then they began to dance and sing. They sing lyrics of songs that the dead would sing upon entering the other world. The first day of singing and dancing, nothing really happens to Black Elk. On the second, so the dance lasts like days. On the second, he starts to feel queer, as if ants were crawling around his legs, and then his vision starts, and he floats out of his body and away, up and away. Up in the sky, he's shown the holy shirts, and he sees the tree below him blooming. Yay! When he wakes up, though, the tree is still dead. He and some friends go to town on making shirts for everyone. They just make tons of shirts, which we'll talk about in a second. On the third day, they wear the shirts, and the dancing makes him have another vision. And in this one, as he's flying above the earth, he sees his people suffering below him, and he can't help them. And he meets a man who's neither Indian nor white, and this man says, "My life is such that all earthly beings and growing things belong to me. Your father, the Great Spirit, has said this, and you too must say this." So questions to ask yourself are, A, who's that man that he talked to and he saw in his dream? 2, what's up with the shirts? You know from your intro notes and the PowerPoint that we went over at the beginning of the unit that the shirts were thought of as holy shirts, and they were also believed to be bulletproof. I don't know what kind of material they were made out of. I would assume something like cotton or even just hide, animal hide. Not bulletproof as far as I know. And I would assume that it meant like the power and the magic and the belief that in the dream the dance would make them bulletproof. So that's a sad reality we'll get to soon. But anyway, the dancing is taking him out of his life and into another vision. He feels like ants are crawling over him. I don't know. I've never danced for 3 days, but I think sheer exhaustion would bring that about. So those are things that you can think about as you're trying to think about like the physicality and the reality of what's happening in this dance. Okay, 23, Bad Trouble Coming. While all these things were happening, the summer was getting old. We're in 1890. I did not then know that all was going on at other places, but some things I heard and much more I heard later. This isn't the only ghost place that's going on. It's happening all over the country. And if you're a white person at the time, which we'll get to with Wounded Knee, if someone's having a dream or a dance or just a party where they're talking about like getting rid of you, it's going to be a negative feeling that you're developing, whether it's fear or anger or whatever. Those are both feelings that were happening. So probably not going to like all this dancing that's happening. And they don't. When Good Thunder and Kicking Bear came back in the spring from seeing the Wanika, the Wasatchus at Pine Ridge put them in prison a while, and then they let them go. This showed the Wasatchus were afraid of something. Yeah, they're afraid of all this dancing that's supposed to wipe them out. Durr. In the moon of black cherries, August, many people were dancing at No Waters Camp on Clay Creek, and the agent came and told them to stop. Stop dancing. They would not stop. And they said they wouldn't fight. They would fight for their religion if they had to do it. Religion being this new ghost dance movement that's sweeping across. It's like a religion. The agent went away and they kept on dancing. They called him Young Man Afraid of Lakota. Later I heard that the Brules were dancing over east of us, and then I heard that Bigfoot's people were dancing on the Good River Reservation, and also that Kicking Bear had gone to Sitting Bull's camp on the Grand River, and that the people were dancing there too. Word came to us that the Indians were beginning to dance everywhere. So this movement is gaining momentum, it's gaining power, which is great for the Native Americans. Like, yeah, let's get on board with how powerful we all are, the shared idea, religion, whatever, that, things are going to be better if we just do this dance. It's going to be great. But also, on the converse side, the growing fear is happening with the white people around them. So that's not a very safe, perhaps, giant concoction that's happening in the country. The people were hungry and in despair, and many believed in the good new world that was coming. The Wasatchus gave us less than half of the cattle that they promised us in the treaty, and these cattle were very poor. For a while, our people would not take the cattle because there were so few of them and they were so poor, bad quality. But after a while, they had to take them or starve to death. So we got more lies than cattle, and we could not eat lies. There it is again. When the agent told the people to quit dancing, their hearts were bad. From the dancing on Wounded Knee, I went over to the Rules who were camping on Cut Meat Creek at this time, and I took with me 6 shirts like those I had seen the 12 men wearing in my vision, and 6 dresses like the 12 women wore. I gave these to the Brules, and they made others for themselves. And I don't remember if Wovoka also talked about shirts. I can't remember right now. And I don't think it's Sitting Bull that came up. I don't think it's Black Elk that came up with the shirts that everyone eventually was wearing. I think it came from Wovoka. So if it's a duality that they both had visions of the shirt, then that only strengthens his belief in this purpose that other people knew about them too. But I can't remember. I'm sorry. We danced there, and another vision came to me. I saw a flaming rainbow like the one I had seen in my first vision. Below the rainbow was a teepee made of cloud. I love teepees made of cloud. Over me there was a spotted eagle soaring, and he said to me, "Remember this!" And that was all I saw and heard. So his dream is like taunting him, like, "Get on it, Black Elk. It's been, 10 plus years. Let's go." I have thought much about this since, and I have thought that this was where I made my great mistake. I have had a very great vision, and I should have deepened only upon that to guide me to the good. But I followed the lesser visions that had come to me while dancing on Wounded Knee Creek. The vision of the flaming rainbow was to warn me, maybe, and I didn't understand. I didn't deepen upon the great vision as I should have done. Not depend. I'm so sorry. I depended upon the 2 sticks that I had seen in the lesser vision. It's hard to follow one great vision in this world of darkness and of many changing shadows. Among those shadows, men get lost. Yeah, they do. So in this paragraph, he's telling us, so he's had other visions, and he's having visions right now while he's doing the ghost dance, like in and among the ghost dance. Those visions maybe led him astray a little bit, so maybe the ghost dance movement wasn't exactly what people should have been doing. He doesn't know. And looking back on it in history, as an old man, which he's very, very old right now, he was like, I think that's where I went wrong. I should have held to my path and only followed my great vision that I had in chapter 3 when I was a 9-year-old, and it's not have gotten messed up in the other smaller visions that I had that weren't like this great one, because maybe I didn't take the time to truly understand them. Okay, blah, blah, blah. And it really is among the shadows that men get lost. He said it before, and the darkness in men's eyes. Yes, I agree, Black Elk. Eloquently put. When I came back from the Brules, the weather was getting cold. Many of the Brules came along when I came back and joined the Oglalas in the dancing on Wounded Knee. We heard that there were soldiers at Pine Ridge and that others were coming all the time. Then one morning we heard that the soldiers were marching toward us, so we broke camp and we moved west to Grass Creek. From there we went to White Clay and camped a while and danced. And if you are perhaps a person who is lucky, a kid who's lucky enough to have been up in South Dakota and like maybe when you were going to the monuments, or the Black Hills or Wind Cave, maybe you drove through this area, maybe you drove through Pine Ridge Reservation, so maybe you can like picture this as we're here right now. There came to us Fire Thunder, Red Wound, and Young American Horse with a message from the soldiers. They said this matter of the ghost dance must be looked into and that there should be rulings over it, and then they didn't mean to take away the dance from us, but could we believe anything that the Wasatchus ever said to us? They spoke with forked tongues. You know who else has a forked tongue? Forked tongue historically? We moved in closer to Pine Ridge and we camped. Many soldiers were there now, and what were they there for? What were those soldiers there for? There was a big meeting with the agent, but I didn't go to hear. He made a ruling that we could dance 3 days every moon, and the rest of the time We should go and make a living for ourselves somehow. He didn't say how we could do that, but the people agreed to this. Sure, I mean, that's an okay compromise, I guess, looking at it objectively and back from like my comfy dining room table here. Don't dance every day of your life. Just dance like 3 days a month, and then the rest of the days of the month, like go out and help yourself earn a living. I mean, okay, I guess. It's not terrible advice. The next day, while I was sitting in a teepee with Good Thunder, a policeman came to us and said, I wasn't sent here, but I came for your good to tell you what I've heard. I heard that they are going to arrest you two. Good Thunder thought we ought to go to the Brules, who had a big camp on Wounded Knee below Manderson. So that evening, we saddled and started. We came through Pepper Creek and White Horse Creek to Wounded Knee, and we followed it down to the Brule camp, and they were glad to see us. In the morning, the crier went around and called a meeting. So the person who's like, hey, everyone! So he called a meeting. I spoke to the Brules, and this is what I said. I said, our relatives, there is a certain thing that we have done. From that certain sacred thing, we have had visions. And in those visions, we have seen, and also we have heard, that our relatives who have gone before us are in the other world that has been revealed to us, and we too shall go there. They're right now with Wanika, and if the Wasatchews want to fight us, let them do it. Have in your minds a strong desire and take courage. We must depend on the departed ones who are in the new world that is coming. So he's telling them, we had some visions while we were doing this ghost dance. We saw our dead relatives, we talked to them, and we definitely want to get to them. So if we get to them by death, if we get to them by the great vision coming true, whatever, but I think it's time that we get ready to fight. That's what Black Elk is saying. More Brules came there from Porcupine and Medicine Root Creeks, and we all broke camp, moving down the Wounded Knee to Smoky Earth River. And there a Black Robe, which is a Catholic priest, a Black Robe came and tried to coax us to return, probably because he can understand, like, oh, this is, you guys, no, don't go there to fight. Come on back. Let's be peaceful and safe. Good try, Catholic priest. Our people told him that Wasatchew promises were no good, and that everything they had promised was a lie. Only a few Oglalas turned back with the Black Robe. He was a good man, and he was badly wounded that winter in the butchering of Bigfoot's band. He was a very good man, not like the other Wasatchews. Good for him. I'm happy for that. From Smoky Earth River, we moved to High Pockets Place, southwest of the top of the Badlands, and while we were there, American Horse and Fast Thunder came to us. They were both chiefs, and they came to bring us into Pine Ridge. We had to obey. The Brules would not obey, and they tried to keep us from going. They struck us, and there was quite a struggle for a while, but we went anyway, because we had to go. Kicking Bear stayed with the Brules that time, but he came into Pine Ridge a little later. A few of the Brules went along with us. And my notes say that he was ill with pneumonia. Black Elk was ill, or Kicking Bear. Well, someone has pneumonia, so that's bad. We camped on the White River, and then on White Clay, and then on Cheyenne Creek, north of Pine Ridge, and most of the Oglalas were camping near there too. So everyone's camped. Everyone's like coming in close. It was about this time that the bad news came to us from the north. We heard that some policemen from Standing Rock had gone to arrest Sitting Bull on Grand River, and that he would not let them take him. So there was a fight, and they killed him. Which you'll see that scene in the movie Buried My Heart at Wounded Knee. It's sad. It's like he's one of the last leaders of the time. So if that happened, think about what a spur that would be to these already pissed off people who are ready to fight anyway. Like that's just like poke. It was now near the end of the Moon of the Popping Trees, December. I was 27 years old. So it's 1890. We heard that Bigfoot was coming down from the Badlands with nearly 400 people. Ooh, 400 people. That's like an army. Poke, poke. Some of these were from Sitting Bull's band, and they had run away when Sitting Bull was killed and joined Bigfoot on the Good River. There were only about 100 warriors in this band, and all the others were women and children, and some old men. Okay, so not, this is the 400. So only 100 warriors. The rest were women and children. Do not forget this. Women and children. After they murdered their leader, they were like, let's go join up with this other band, and they're all congregating on Wounded Knee Creek. There were... And old men. Okay, good. They were all starving and freezing, and Bigfoot was so sick that they had to bring him along in a pony drag. They had all... Oh, so he's got the pneumonia. Okay. They had all run away to hide in the Badlands, and they were coming in now because they were starving and freezing. When they crossed Smoky Earth River, they followed up Medicine Root Creek to its head. Soldiers were over there looking for them. The soldiers had everything and were not freezing and starving. Near Porcupine Butte, the soldiers came up to the Bigfoots, and they surrendered and went along with the soldiers to Wounded Knee Creek, where the Brennan store is now. You can go there. So they were like, come on, guys. And the women and children and old men and a few warriors were like, okay, because they were so tired and cold and hungry and sick. It was in the evening when we heard that the Bigfoots were camped over there with the soldiers about 15 miles by the old road from where we were. It was the next morning, December 29th, 1890, that something terrible happened. So in the next chapter, we'll read about the Battle of Wounded Knee. Yep, chapter 24, the butchering at Wounded Knee, but I'm going to pause this. Good job.